I have here an Aorus Gigabyte X570 Aorus Elite Wi-Fi motherboard, and I'm going to be building a computer for the first time in 14 years. This is just a scratch audio because I'm going to be doing a voiceover. So we have here the Ryzen 5 AMD 3600. For this computer, it'll do just fine audio. So I drop this gently in there, make sure it's secure. Then this lever, we will pull down until it gets tight, and we can put it in there. So that was very simple. Again, AMD Ryzen 5 3600, excellent processor. The next step is to remove these mounts and put on new mounts, because we have a Noctua NH-U12S chromax.Black as our CPU fan, and we'll get started with that in a moment. Hey everybody, I know you didn't notice it, but I have an anti-static strap that I'm using. As Linus said, Linus from Linus Tech Tips, he likes to put this around his ankle. That's why you're not seeing it on my arm, because he says it can get in the way of maneuvering around the motherboard. So you won't see this, but I will have this around my ankle. Alright, let's get back to the motherboard. Now the next step is to put in the cooler for the CPU. Again, I chose a Noctua NH-U12S chromax.Black. It's a very good rated cooler, and it should do the job very well. I'm not an overclocker, and with a Ryzen 5 3600, really there's no need to overclock. So we have to remove these first. I'm using a magnetic tip screwdriver. This should be long enough. If not, I have another one that was supplied by Noctua. So that's a good thing, because you got to get in there. It's pretty tall, this heatsink. I'll show it to you. Look at that. That's a pretty tall heatsink. So now let's remove these mounts. Always do this very gently. Again, I'm wearing the anti-static band around my ankle, on my leg. I'm doing this very gently. I'm not going to go too fast. Sorry that my hand is in the way. I'm going to drop that in this magnetic bowl for your screws. This helps so you don't lose your screws, and it helps organize it and stuff so you don't have to worry about them falling on the floor. If they do though, you have a magnetic screwdriver and you can try to pick them up. So let's remove this. Also, just to let you know, even though this is going to be a voiceover, but I'm just guiding myself, my anti-static wrist strap is connected to an audio rack that is metal, so that's my ground. I don't want to forget saying that. So there we go. Let's get rid of that. See, these standoffs are pretty good. Alright. Again, this is going to be a voiceover. I have the air conditioner on. You might not even hear me, but this voice is a guide right now, so I know what to say later on when I do the voiceover. Gotta be gentle. You don't want to put too much pressure on the motherboard. When you push down, you don't want to crack it. That would be very bad. You don't want to spend all your hard-earned money on a motherboard just to crack it or damage it. Same with your CPU. You don't want to touch those pins on the bottom. You always hold it at the sides. Now, I'm a novice. I basically built one of the computer, although initially I had someone put the parts together for me. I designed it, and picked all the parts. And then I rebuilt the thing twice. So basically, I kept the motherboard, but then all the other parts I redid. And maybe later on I'll show you that old computer. And nobody cared about, you know, how the wires looked back then. We just kind of threw it in there. Yeah, in the interest of time, I already put these mounting brackets on. Just fastening now. They have to use spacers, and you have to make sure you get them in the right way. And you don't want to go too tight, just tight enough where you just feel it grab. Because too tight is no good, but too loose is no good as well. And this is an AM4 bracket. This is for AM3 or AM4, and this processor is AM4. So therefore, we use these two holes, one for AM3, one for AM4, and there's different colored spacers. The white ones are for AM3, the gray ones are for AM4. Since I have AM4, you guessed it, we use the gray ones. And again, we go very carefully, very slowly. We take our time. You want to take your time when you put your parts on your motherboard. You do not want to move too quickly, especially when you're a newbie like me. Even though I'm an old guy, I'm a newbie at putting together a computer. However, I've watched probably over 100 videos of how to put together a computer. And the main purpose of me building this computer is so I can have better streaming quality, so I don't have to stress out my DJ laptop. Let's make sure these are just tight enough, but not too tight. You don't want to strip your screws, because if you ever have to get this out, that's on there, that's not going anywhere. The next step, I'll be installing the thermal paste, and I'm just going to use a little bit, and then I will install the radiator for the Noctua, and then we should be good to go. Alright, Noctua supplies their own thermal paste, so I recommend myself using it. So I'm going to apply that. You only put very little, only like the size of a piece of rice, like that. Alright, in the interest of time, I mounted this. First I put thermal paste, then I mounted this, and not too tight, but tight enough, and then I mounted the fan for intake going in this way. You want your intake going this way. This is the back of the board. This is going to be at the top of the case. And this is the intake. And it's just enough room for my RAM. That's another reason why I chose this Noctua NH-U12S chromax.Black, because plenty of room for RAM. Plenty of room. No problems right there. Next, I'm going to install the RAM. Okay, now we're going to install the RAM. And I chose Trident Z Neo. This one says specifically for Ryzen AMD. This is RGB. G.Skill. G.Skill Trident Z Neo, made for Ryzen AMD. DDR4 3600. So we're going to install that. You have to make sure that you line up this hole. There's a notch in here for the RAM. And you have to make sure that you have the correct slots. This first slot and this third slot. That's usually pretty standard practice for dual channel RAM. And what I'm going to do is insert them I'm going to insert the 2 RAM sticks in here, and these will click. When I hear that click, I know that's in really well. So I'm going to do that right now. You want to kind of angle it in there. First line it up with the notch. And then do a firm press. Click, click. Success. Alright, now for the second stick of RAM. We're going to line it up. Make sure we double click. Always make sure you're putting it in correctly. 1 click, 2 click. Success. Our RAM is in. In the interest of time, I'm going to install. In the interest of time, I'm going to install this. This is going to be my main storage. I'm going to put Windows 10 on it and all my programs, and then I'm going to install my storage. This is crucial. NVMe, and this is Western Digital Black NVMe version 3. So this is going to be first. This one's going to be for storage. So I'll have 2 of them. I have 2 slots. And that's it for now until I upgrade later on. Then I'll probably put 2 SSDs in the case. But that'll be another video another time. So we're going to install these, but I'm not going to show the install just to save some time. Thank you. Alright, so I just installed the first NVMe with the heatsink on. I don't know if you can see that. And now I'm going to install the second one. It's already sitting in there. So I'm going to install this one next. But you can't see it. So let's see. Maybe I'll move the camera. Alright. So this is the first one. Right here. This motherboard comes with a heatsink, so it's already in there, the NVMe. I just have to tighten that a little bit more, and then we're going to do the second one, which is the crucial one. Alright, that's tight in there. Now I'm going to get this one, but in the interest of time, I'm not going to show it. Okay, the WD Western Digital Black NVMe is now installed. Eventually, I will install the crucial NVMe, which is the second one, for storage. But today, we just installed one. Okay, I've installed the motherboard, fastened it to the case. I've connected some of the front panel connections, the fan controller. So the next step is to probably put in the graphics card, and then I will connect the power supply and the rest of the cables. So here we are. The computer is built, it booted, it is on. I'm just testing it right now, and look, we got a Windows screen. So everything looks like it's working. All I have to do now is just neaten up the wires in the back, but we have a working computer.